Most people wake up every day and surrender their mind to distraction, entertainment, weakness, and then they wonder why life feels empty. Let me be brutally honest. If you're not educating yourself daily, you're already falling behind. You're not just losing, you're being controlled. The battlefield is mental. The elite know this. That's why they train their minds like warriors train for war. You want to escape the 99%. It starts with mastering the one thing you truly own: your mind. Welcome to modern Stoicism, the place where we combine ancient wisdom and dark psychology to forge unbreakable minds. If you're ready to lead yourself, subscribe now and turn on notifications. Let's begin. Section 1. The Silent War of the Mind. The most dangerous war is the one you don't know you're in. And right now, it's happening in your mind. You don't see the bullets. You don't hear the explosions. But every single day, you are being targeted, not by weapons, but by information, distraction, and manipulation. This war doesn't ask for your permission. It's subtle, silent. It creeps in the moment you open your phone. It whispers in your ear every time you procrastinate. It controls you every time you give in to comfort instead of growth. Here's the truth the world won't tell you. If you're not consciously educating your mind every day, then you are unconsciously being programmed by someone else. Stoicism has always warned us. You may not control all things, but you do control your mind. And that is your power. Epictetus. But most people don't even realize their mind is being hijacked by algorithms, by marketing, by ideologies, by anything and everything except you. This is where dark psychology comes into play, because the system doesn't care about your growth. It cares about your compliance. And compliance is easy. All it takes is distraction, repetition, and comfort. Most people don't read anymore. Most people can't sit still for 5 minutes without reaching for their phone. Most people consume hours of content every day and learn nothing. And yet, they wonder why they feel empty, anxious, weak, directionless. But you're different. You wouldn't be here watching this if something inside you wasn't already waking up. That voice inside that says, "I was made for more." And that more starts with mental clarity, with deliberate learning, with choosing to take responsibility for your mental state. Because the man who controls his mind controls his world. Marcus Aurelius, ruler of the Roman Empire, said, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts." If your mind is filled with noise, your life will be filled with chaos. But if your mind is fed with wisdom, your life will reflect order, direction, and power. So here's the first principle of escaping the 99%. You must train your mind like a soldier trains for war, not once a week, not when it's convenient, every single day. Drop a comment right now. I command my mind. Let the world know. You're not asleep. You're not distracted. You're here to take back control. Because in this world, your mind is your greatest weapon, or your greatest weakness. And if you don't master it, someone else will. Section 2. The 30-minute rule that changes lives. If you read for 30 minutes a day, you will have read more than 50 books in a year. While most people scroll, you evolve. That's the edge. Not talent, not luck, consistency. And here's what makes it even more powerful. This is something anyone can do, but almost no one does. Why? Because most people are addicted to mental junk food. Fast content, easy dopamine, stimulation over stillness. They don't want to grow. They want to feel good. And they trade their future for cheap entertainment every single day. This is the psychological trap that dark psychology exploits. If you can keep people emotionally overstimulated, you can keep them mentally weak. And mentally weak people are easy to control. They don't question, they don't reflect, they don't resist. But when you commit just 30 minutes a day to deliberate learning, you're doing more than gaining knowledge. You're building mental immunity, mental armor, discipline, insight, perspective, the kind of strength the world can't take from you. And that's exactly what the Stoics aimed for. Marcus Aurelius, ruler of the known world, still journaled every morning. He wasn't writing for an audience. He was writing to train his mind, to observe his thoughts, to challenge his assumptions, to sharpen his character like a blade. He knew what we often forget. Power without clarity is chaos, and clarity only comes from studying, thinking, reflecting. So here's what I challenge you to do, starting today. Pick one book, not 5, not 10, just one. Read for 30 minutes every morning before the world invades your brain. Highlight what hits you. Write down what challenges you. Ask yourself, how does this apply to my life? What would I do differently if I truly believed this? That's how knowledge becomes power. That's how words become weapons in the war for your mind. And you don't need to read everything. You just need to read the right things. Start with the Stoics, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, Letters from a Stoic by Seneca, Discourses by Epictetus. Then dive into dark psychology, Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power, The Laws of Human Nature, or Influence by Cialdini. Learn how you work and how the world works. That's a dangerous combination. Dangerous in the best way, because the man who reads every day builds a mind that sees through illusion. He doesn't fall for manipulation. He doesn't follow trends. He leads himself. Drop a comment right now. Knowledge is power. Action is freedom. Show the algorithm you're here for mastery, not mediocrity. And listen, this isn't about perfection. There will be days you don't feel like reading. Read anyway. There will be days you're distracted. Focus anyway. Because every time you do, you're casting a vote for the kind of person you're becoming. And those votes compound into something unstoppable. 30 minutes a day. That's all it takes to build a mental edge 99% of people will never have. Read like your life depends on it, because it does. The more you know, the less you fear. The more you understand, the harder you are to control. Educate your mind, or be manipulated by those who did. Section 3. Build mental armor, not just knowledge. Knowledge is useless without strength. Knowing is not enough. You must endure. You must act. You must become. Every day you train your mind with new information. You're gaining power. But raw information isn't power by itself. It's just fuel. Mental armor is what transforms fuel into fire. It's what turns words into actions, and actions into habits that no outside force can break. And without that armor, you're just another person with interesting ideas and no results. Let's get brutally honest. Most people already know what they should do. They know they should read. They know they should be focused, consistent, present, and patient. But they're mentally weak, not by nature, but by design. They've trained themselves to avoid discomfort at all costs. That's why most people will never cross the line from knowing to doing. They'll binge videos like this, feel inspired for 10 minutes, and go right back to distraction, because they never built the emotional discipline to execute. And that's where Stoicism and dark psychology meet. The Stoics had a concept called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evil. They trained themselves to expect hardship, to visualize loss, pain, failure, betrayal. not to make themselves suffer, but to make themselves immune to it. Rehearse them in your mind. Exile, torture, war, shipwreck, all human misfortunes must be before our eyes. Seneca, that's how you build mental armor. You face the hard things before they arrive. You get comfortable being uncomfortable. You start to crave discipline, boredom, solitude, intensity, because that's where you grow. And here's where dark psychology becomes your ally. The truth is, you are wired to seek ease, to conserve energy, to retreat from pain. But the people who run the world know that. They exploit it, and they count on you being too mentally soft to resist the pull of comfort. So if you want to escape that trap, if you want to rise above the 99%, you must train your mind like a weapon. You need to build routines that go beyond motivation. You need to do hard things when you don't feel like it. You need to learn to sit in silence while your mind screams for escape. And you need to remind yourself, this is what separates me. Drop a comment right now. I choose discipline over comfort. Not just because it sounds good, but because it's the mindset that forges masters. Here's the brutal truth. Most people will lose this battle before they ever step into it. They'll quit because it's boring. They'll stop because it's hard. They'll look for hacks instead of building habits. But you're still here. You're still watching. And that means there's something in you the average person doesn't have. A hunger for mastery. Now you must feed it. With action, with consistency, with pain, on purpose. You don't rise by avoiding resistance. You rise because you face it daily and keep going anyway. Mental armor is not built in comfort. It's built in discomfort, in repetition, in silence. So choose the discomfort of growth now, or suffer the pain of regret forever. Section 4. Control what enters your mind. Your mind is a fortress, and every idea, image, and sound that enters is either building the walls stronger or tearing them down. If there's one thing most people completely overlook, it's this. You are being shaped by everything you consume. Every scroll, every show, every sound, every headline is carving itself into your psychology. And if you're not ruthlessly protecting your inputs, you are giving away control of your future. The Stoics understood this deeply. They didn't just train themselves to resist temptation. They trained themselves to avoid corrupting influence altogether. The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. So ask yourself, what color is your soul right now? Is it focused, clear, stoic, disciplined, or is it scattered, anxious, addicted to noise? Let's be clear, if you're watching trash content all day, chasing drama, following people who add no value to your life, you're not just wasting time, you're corrupting your mind. And dark psychology proves this. Repetition rewires the brain. Even if you think you're not being influenced, your subconscious is absorbing everything. The ads you skip, the jokes you laugh at, the content you consume just for fun. It's all programming you. That's why most people can't focus anymore. Why they can't sit still. Why they can't read. Because their attention span has been butchered by meaningless inputs, and they never realized it was happening. But you're not here to be most people. You're here to become the master of your mind. And that means you need to guard your inputs, like a soldier guards a fortress. Here's what that looks like. Unfollow weak minds. If someone's content doesn't push you higher, remove it. Limit dopamine. Stop binging noise. Trade scrolling time for reading time. Choose teachers over entertainers. There's a difference between feeling good and getting better. Create before you consume. Start your day by building your mind, not feeding off someone else's highlight reel. Embrace silence. Sometimes the strongest input is no input at all. Reflection builds strength. Every input you allow in either trains your mind to be reactive or resilient. And that's the difference between being ruled by the world and ruling your inner world. Drop a comment now. My mind is a fortress. Say it out loud, write it down, burn it into your code. Because this is the mindset that separates the consumer from the creator, the distracted from the disciplined. The average person lets anything enter their mental gates. They don't question what they watch. They don't notice how it affects their mood, their energy, their thinking. But the Stoic, the 1%, they live with deliberate awareness. They filter everything. They don't just protect their time, they protect their clarity. So here's the challenge. Audit your inputs, clean your feed, restructure your digital environment. Only allow in what makes you sharper, wiser, stronger. Because the cost of consuming garbage is your mental sovereignty. And nothing is more valuable than that. Be ruthless with what enters your mind. You are not here to be passive. You are here to lead yourself. And it starts with what you consume. Section 5. Daily learning equals lifelong power. A man who learns every day cannot be stopped. He cannot be broken. He cannot be controlled. This is the final truth most people never grasp. The path to freedom is boring. It's repetitive. It's unglamorous. But it works. Because every time you educate yourself, every book you read, every deep thought you reflect on, every time you choose wisdom over distraction, you are stacking power inside your mind. And that power compounds. The 99% want fast change. They want overnight success. They want shortcuts, hacks, motivation on demand. But that mindset will keep them trapped forever. The 1%. They don't seek escape. They seek edge. They want to be sharper, faster, calmer, more strategic than they were yesterday. And they understand the secret. Real transformation happens in inches, not miles. That's why Stoics journaled daily. Why warriors practiced forms thousands of times. Why leaders read obsessively. Because they knew power doesn't show up. It is built, one disciplined day at a time. And if you commit to this, if you say, I will learn every day no matter what, you become unstoppable. Let me be clear, this isn't about becoming a bookworm. This is about becoming a weapon, educated in your emotions, educated in your philosophy, educated in your history, your habits, your power dynamics, your fears, your potential. When you learn daily, you don't just think better, you live better. You start anticipating patterns. You stop reacting to chaos. You start making moves with precision. And while the 99% are still asking, what's the secret? You've already become the answer. So here's your mission. Read daily, even just 20 minutes. Write your thoughts. Don't just absorb, process. Listen to thinkers, not noise. Watch content that lifts you, challenges you, confronts your weaknesses. Be around people who value growth, not gossip. And every day, without fail, feed your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. Drop a final comment below. I am built different. If you're serious, if you're all in, if you're done playing small, let the world know you're not here for average. You're here to rise. And listen, this isn't a game. You're not motivating yourself. You're not tricking your brain. You're reprogramming your identity. You're becoming the kind of person who studies while others sleep. who reflects while others react, who chooses truth over trends, who leads himself without waiting for permission. That is rare, that is powerful, and that is what it means to live the Stoic path, to be grounded in wisdom, unshaken by the world, and clear in your purpose. So from this day forward, educate your mind every day without exception. You'll separate from the crowd, you'll start seeing what others miss, and in time, you won't just be part of the 1%, you'll lead it. Section 6. From learning to mastery, make knowledge dangerous. Knowledge that isn't used becomes weight. Knowledge that's applied becomes a weapon. We've talked about learning. We've talked about input control. We've talked about training the mind. But here's the final step, and it's what separates the intellectual from the master. You must take what you learn and use it, ruthlessly, deliberately, powerfully. The Stoics weren't just thinkers, they were doers. They didn't read for status. They read to live better, to sharpen themselves, to face death, betrayal, war, power, loss. Marcus Aurelius didn't write meditations to impress the world. He wrote it to survive the weight of ruling an empire while battling personal demons. His words were not theory. They were battle-tested reminders, guidance under pressure, philosophy applied in chaos. And that's where most people fail today. They consume content endlessly, but they never integrate it. They know 100 powerful quotes, but they still react emotionally to nonsense. They've read about self-control, but still chase every distraction. That's not mastery, that's mental hoarding. Knowledge without action is spiritual obesity. You're heavy with insight, but unable to move. Let me make this painfully clear. If you learn but don't act, you are no different than the man who never learned at all. That's why you must make your knowledge dangerous. Turn it into skill. Turn it into clarity under pressure. Turn it into habits that guide you even when the world collapses. Here's how you do that. 1. Reflection equals weaponization. After you read or learn something powerful, ask, how does this apply to my life? Where am I not living this truth? What will I change this week because of this? That's where 1% separates from the 99%. The 99% consume. The 1% reflect and act. 2. Write to remember. Don't just read passively. Journal, synthesize. Writing locks it into your nervous system. Even 1 sentence a day. What did I learn today, and how will I use it? That's how you rewire your identity. 3. Use it in conflict. Learning about patience is easy when you're calm. Apply it when you're angry. Learning about courage is easy when you're comfortable. Apply it when you're scared. Learning about focus is easy in silence. Apply it when everything is chaotic. That's when philosophy becomes real. Drop a comment. I act on what I learn. Not someday, not later. Now, because action is what transforms you. Not knowledge alone, not potential. Action, repetition, application. The Stoics didn't just want to know what was right, they wanted to become what was right. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Epictetus. And that's the challenge for you. You've learned, you've listened, now you must become. That means use discipline when you don't feel like it. Speak with integrity when it's inconvenient. Focus when others are distracted. Show restraint when the world is emotional. Stay grounded when everyone else is reactive. That is how knowledge becomes dangerous. Not because you flaunt it, but because you live it. And when people see that, when they feel that presence, that clarity, that calm power, they'll know. You're not just educated, you're forged. If this spoke to you, do 3 things. Comment, "I act on what I learn," and mean it. Like this video, so more people like us break free. Subscribe to Stoic Mastery, turn on notifications, and keep building your edge. This is not about becoming smarter. This is about becoming stronger, clearer, unstoppable. This is Stoic Mastery, and this is just the beginning.